Today, we're going to talk about everything that's happened in the golfing world. We're going to talk about some news with world rankings and golf rankings in particular. We're going to talk about some comments made by Louis Oosthuizen and also one of our least favorite members of the media, Alan Shipnut. Thank you for listening. It all starts right now. Hello and welcome back to Beerly Out of Bounds, your favorite golf podcast. I'm your host, Zachary Smith. Joining me as always is the man who drives the ball almost as far as I do. It's Zane Smith. How are we doing?
That's so crap. You're wrong.
How we doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing okay. Ready to talk about the news. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world. Prayers for the people in the Middle East, peace in the Middle East, hashtag. And, but we're a golf podcast, so we're going to stick to the golf shtick. But, this obviously has some golf ramifications too, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Sure. But yeah, I'm doing all right. I got my White Claw here. This is a Beerly podcast, so we gotta. The rules are you have to drink something while you have to constantly. If you run out, you have to go get more of it. So
he's
there ain't no laws when you're drinking claws, Zach. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking something that's really good. So some of you may be a fan of, in my opinion, one of the best summer drinks, summer beers in existence, and that is the Leinenkugel Summer Shandy. Zane, have you ever had one of those?
I think you had me have one of those ones.
They're really good. It's got a little bit of lemon flavoring in there. Really nice. But they brought out something even better than that. It's a Leinenkugel's Juicy Peach. Let me get that on the camera there. Beautiful canning. Nice little picture of a lake and some people. Yeah, and it is so good.
That's disgusting.
It's so good. It's so good. But before we get too distracted by my incredible beer, Zane, what is the first topic you wanted to discuss today?
I think I just wanted to discuss what was going on in the aftermath, because we are only a week and a half out from the Ryder Cup, and I just wanted to go over kind of the aftermath. There's a lot of blood spilt on the American side, as far as people shouting out other people and people bashing other entities and so on and so forth. And it's the typical thing whenever you have the losing party on your side of the pond, people are going to be upset. So yeah, we're just going to go over that real quick.
Okay.
First thing on the docket is Xander Schauffele's dad, Stefan, made some pretty heated remarks on the PGA of America. And people, again, as kind of a thing, they aren't the same thing. PGA Tour and PGA of America, they're two different entities. Of course, PGA Tour's kind of underneath sort of the umbrella of the PGA of America, but they do run independently of one another.
Yeah.
Some have said that though they do run kind of parallel to one another in their philosophy and their mission. So that's, and you see that in the Saudi stuff, them both taking a crazy stance against the PIF and the Live Golf Tour, Live Golf League.
Yeah.
So anyway, so let's get into what the meat of it. So this comes via golf.com by Dylan Deter. And he says, so the PGA of it, this is coming from Xander Schauffele's dad. He said, quote, "The PGA of America is a for-profit organization. They need to have the players share in that profit instead of being so damn intransparent about it. They should reveal the numbers, and then we should go to the table and talk. Ellipses. Alternatively, they can donate all the proceeds after opening the books to a charity of our joint choice, and then we will happily play for free. Please print that. So he's making it very clear to Dylan Deter, who is, I think, a shill um, of the golf establishment media. And me and Zach have talked about that before.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, Zach. What do you think? I guess the questions there in Nuclear Golf's Twitter. But what do you think about that? Should players be paid for the Ryder Cup, for their play in the Ryder Cup? What is your kind of take on that?
I mean, here's my opinion on it. I mean, the Ryder Cup is arguably the single biggest golf event in golf, arguably. Outside of the Masters, maybe. But I think you get more viewers probably for the Ryder Cup than almost any other event in golf. Whether that's on the grounds or on television. Just because of the spectacle of it all. And you could say kind of the same thing about the President's Cup, although I think it's to a much lesser degree, just because there's just less history there.
Yeah.
But I think that it's not an unreasonable ask, that considering how much money that this event makes, and it makes a lot of money, it's not an unreasonable ask for the players to see the numbers and to say, hey, maybe we deserve a little bit of a kickback. And if we don't get a kickback, maybe we could donate it to charity. I don't think that's an unreasonable ask.
For sure. Yeah, go ahead.
So, I mean, that's my take on it. I don't think it's unreasonable. If you're going to be making all this money off of these players, they should have a say, at least in how it's spent, whether it's by paying them or giving money to charity.
I think that's obvious. I think what he says now, obviously, the question lies in: are they technically a for-profit organization? No, they have 501c4 nonprofit status, so they have nonprofit status with the IRS. But as we all know, these NGOs, these non-government organizations, they have significant leniency in their profit and revenue making.
Yeah.
They have a lot of leniency. So like they can pay their administrators and their executives inordinate amount of money and bonuses and cash value.
Yeah.
And other things to get them to run their organizations. And a lot of that provides incentives for those people to run the organizations well. However, they are right in saying that they aren't transparent with the money. Neither the PGA Tour nor the PGA of America have been transparent from the get-go with their funds, with how they acquire their funds, and so on and so forth. The other thing I think that we need that is needed to bring up is, for a long time, even by their members, they're viewed as kind of they're viewed as kind of like a pariah, right? They're viewed as kind of like that, a person, and I'm probably not using that word correctly, but they're viewed as an organization that is a pay for play. It's like you have to, the only reason you're paying for it is the credentialing, and you're not actually gaining anything from it. Now, that exists in all organizations to an extent, obviously, but particularly in the PGA of America, when you see the extent they go to getting more members and more associates in the programs and paying, then you kind of have to ask, are they really doing it for the good of the organization, for the sanctity of the organization, or are they just doing it to bring in revenues? I would argue that the heads, whether or not the underlings, running different education centers and education summits and what's the word I'm looking for? And clinics. I would say that those people are probably good and well-meaning. The people I've dealt with, that means, are good and well-meaning. I do think the executives have a different ulterior motive. And I think that ulterior motive is borne out by the fact that they eliminate the playing requirements. We talked about that before. They eliminate playing requirements. They add the time you're allowed to be in certain levels. They make you fly all the way to Frisco after level 1.
Yeah.
For these get-togethers. When honestly, especially in the world we live in now, all of this can be done online.
Yeah.
All of it can be done online. And the fact that they make you fly out, and it's not like you pay the money and that pays for the plane ticket and it pays for the room and board. No. That would be too easy.
No, you have to miss work.
You have to miss work. You have to go out there and pay for it. You have to pay for room and you have to pay for food.
Yeah.
So there is no and this, again, it's crazy that an organization as big as the PGA of America is not able to do that for their members and then goes and doesn't give these guys their due,
Yeah.
So I think that's a little ridiculous. What do you think about any of that?
I mean, we've talked about this 100 times about really the barrier to entry is less of a skill or a talent barrier. It's more of a money barrier.
Yes.
It's really hard for someone with, I'm not going to say little means, but even someone with not super well off to easily get through the program. It's just not easy.
Well, it's not meant. I would argue you're right. I don't want it to be easy.
No, I'm saying it's the barrier is financial.
Yes. Not skills.
Not skill or talent or anything like that. It is a financial barrier more than anything else. Because
100%.
Going through level 1 and level 2 and level 3, it's not like the easiest thing in the world. It requires work, but the more than work, it requires a large amount of expendable funds.
Yes.
Which is almost impossible to earn at an entry level position as a professional.
Yes.
Like you have to earn the amount of money that you need. Now I happen to be lucky enough to work at a place where they are paying for my education with the PGA. Basically, I write the PGA check whenever I need to write them a check. I send a copy of that check to the accounting and they send me the money back. So that's nice. I mean, I'm lucky to have that opportunity and be where I am. But where I've the last job I had did not have that deal going. So I didn't advance at all at the last job I had. I've finally been able to advance a little bit through level 1 now because I'm in a much more stable position. And, frankly, the financial barrier has been kind of lifted. I mean, we're going to see what that looks like when I have to fly out to Frisco, Texas after level 1, but because I don't know how that's going to work. But it's that my major problem with it from the get-go has been the large financial barrier. Because really what it incentivizes is for very wealthy. It's basically, we want very wealthy people in the PGA.
Yeah.
Not because they earned their wealth, but because they have wealth already.
Yeah. Absolutely. You're exactly right.
Which is disappointing because it's doing the exact opposite of what their stated goal is, and that's to grow the game of golf.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and I just think like in any organization, there's a lot of bloat.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people with positions that don't really matter.
Yeah.
And that obviously takes up a lot of the revenue. That costs a lot in expenses. So I think there's a lot of bloat in that organization in particular that causes that high price. So that's just the way I feel. I could be wrong, but I do think that the executives have ulterior motives. It's just the way it is. So anyway, and again, some of these guys are jumping late on the bandwagon, like Dylan Dater. I don't know if he's a genuine individual. I really don't. Like a lot of these guys, they ride the fence good and hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I see what
So,
you're saying. I completely
so
understand.
anyway, but yeah. Let's talk a little bit about what Davis Love said. Now, there's other aftermath involved. Davis Love brought up let's go to Nuclear Golf's page. Nuclear Golf. Davis Love. So Nuclear Golf brought up the Davis Love. He says via Golf Week, Davis Love the third says that it's time for changing the guard for the Ryder Cup Team USA captaincy roles. Quote, they need to get rid of guys like Davis Love and probably Fred Couples and move on. Yeah, I'm lobbying for it. So, wow. It's like, what do you think of that, Zach?
Okay. I don't even know what to think about it. It's just kind of a
Do you
weird
think
thing
that's
to
a
say.
typo? Like, do you think that's a typo?
No.
You don't think that's a typo?
Do you think it is?
I don't know. I think that let's go to Golf Week. Davis Love Golf Week.
Because like, I mean, maybe it's just a thing where he's like, maybe it's a whole thing like he honestly just doesn't want to deal with it anymore.
Maybe could
I mean,
be.
it's a lot of pressure because if you mess up like a certain captain did this year, then you look really dumb.
Yeah, well, and I do think that him and Zach Johnson are pretty close. So maybe you're exactly right. Maybe it's more frustration than righteous indignancy, being
Yeah, I
righteously
mean,
indignant. Could be that he's frustrated with golf fans.
I'm
You know
open
what
to
I
the
mean?
idea that I'm wrong, but I rarely am. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that he I don't know. I think that let's see if we can look up Davis Love Golf Week. I do want to see if it's a typo. But the thing that I'm
Wait, first off, why'd you put the emphasis on the wrong syllable?
huh?
You said
Typo?
typo.
Oh,
Like it was
typo?
a typo versus type O. You see what I mean?
Yeah, so
Sounds like you're
Davis Love
talking about blood.
actually so Davis Love is lobbying for Tiger Woods apparently.
Okay.
That's what he's
I have no belief that Tiger would be a great captain.
okay. Go ahead. Would Tiger Woods be a great captain at the Ryder Cup?
I'm gonna say no.
Okay, and to give me your reasons.
He's the exact same thing that we got this year. It's the boys club.
I
Justin
actually agree with you.
Thomas.
Yeah.
Justin Thomas. Jordan Spieth. All the best buddies are gonna be there and nobody else. The continuation of everything that we hate.
Yeah.
That's why I don't think he'd be a great captain. Now, would the U.S. win a Ryder Cup with Tiger as captain? Maybe. I don't know.
Well, to be fair, Davis Love III did win in 2012 and 2016.
Yeah.
So Davis Love, you can argue, is a historied winner of the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, what would you say to that? I mean, he's won several Ryder Cups.
Okay. I wasn't talking about Davis Lowe. I was talking about Tiger.
Oh, I get it. But if he's saying if the guy who's won two Ryder Cups, two of the last ones we've had, if you've got him saying that we need Tiger Woods, then isn't that a good kind of sign that we need Tiger Woods to be a Ryder Cup captain?
I mean, what would his what would Tiger have done differently this year? You think he doesn't bring JT?
I think he doesn't bring Spieth.
I don't know.
I think he doesn't bring Spieth. I honestly think Tiger Woods is more concerned with his public image being tainted by a loss than he is a friend. I really do, kind of. He's the Tiger. He's the GOAT, right?
I
So would he
guess.
taint it? Would he taint it like Zach Johnson did and pick JT even when JT's sucking? I know they're buddies, but would he actually pick him? I actually don't know. I can't answer that question.
I don't know. I have a feeling that he would, just because
Just because they're buddies?
they're really good buddies.
Yeah, but he hadn't been playing well, and I don't know if Tiger picks him because he ain't been playing well. I really
It's
don't,
possible.
and I don't think
But
he
I mean,
picks
we
Jordan
won't
Spieth
know
either.
until he's the captain and we get to see what his process of picking is. But yeah, I don't think he'd pick any live guys.
Fair.
In fact, he's got a financial motivation not to pick those guys.
Fair. But still, we made the argument that you don't even need to pick live guys.
I
win the Ryder Cup.
I agree, but when you add a financial motivation not to do it, doesn't that just make the problem worse?
Yeah, no, I agree totally. Absolutely. I know it makes it worse, but it's still better than what we got, which is Zach Johnson. Would you argue that he's worse than Zach Johnson?
Probably not.
Yeah. So real quick, I just want to read a little bit from this article. If
Granted,
you don't mind.
it'd be tough to be worse. I mean, that's like saying,
yeah, it would be tough to be. It's like
it's like
making the argument about being worse than the Miami Georgia Tech call. I don't know if you can get worse. I don't know if you can get worse.
I cooked. I don't know if it's gonna be good or not. Well, is it better than a poop sandwich? Well, yeah, probably, but it's a poop sandwich.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So I just want to read this real quick. So going into more in depth of what he said, quote, "We've got to call Tiger Woods and ask him," end quote. Love said at Timuquana Country Club in Jacksonville, Florida, ahead of the Furyk and friends. Quote, "I think if he wants, obviously Tiger's into a lot of stuff right now, but it's kind of his call, I would say. I hate to put pressure on him, but it's kind of his call. Obviously, with some guys out, he's the logical next choice." End quote. So he said when asked about the strategy, and this is the part it's not a typo. When asked about the strategy of bringing in some new blood in the captaincy spot, Love didn't hesitate to admit it's time for him to move on. Quote, "They need to get rid of guys like Davis Love and probably Fred Couples and move on. I'm lobbying for it," end quote. He said, admitting it would be difficult for him to step away and let others take over the reins. Quote, "It's incredibly hard. I told a few people over at the Ryder Cup, I said, man, this is my last time. And they were like, no, no, no. And I'm like, yeah, it's time. I told that to Tiger in 2019. I said, I'm done. He said, yeah, you're right. Probably time. Who do we think we ought to get? Young guys?" And then Steve Stricker brought me right back in the next year. He said, I've never quit helping if they want me to help, but I'd be better in logistics now behind the scenes. Tiger's been a big help behind the scenes. Maybe that's what he and I want to keep doing is stay behind the scenes and help out Stuart Sink and whoever the next guy is. End quote.
My issue with that is like the whole thing with Zach Johnson this year is like, oh, we looked into the logistics and we did all the research and we have the numbers.
I think he was BSing though. I think he was BSing though.
Zane.
No, Zach Johnson was not actually looking at the statistics because even me and you looked at the statistics and we both.
Look at me. Look at me, Zane.
I'm looking at you, Zach. I can see you very well.
They said that they looked at the numbers, that they saw the truth. I don't think they saw the truth. I'm just saying.
I don't think they looked at the numbers. I don't think they actually looked in the numbers. I think they saw what they wanted to see. I think they saw that. I think they looked at the numbers of JT's record at the Ryder Cup. It's like, we got to take this guy. I don't think they looked at any logistics other than how he played in previous Ryder Cups. You can't tell me that they looked at logistics from him this past year and decided, yeah, he's the top 6 that we need to take to the Ryder Cup. You can't tell me that.
I have a conspiracy theory. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Okay.
Oh my God.
Here's my
Take the
conspiracy
tinfoil
theory.
hat off.
Okay.
I saw this on your other podcast with those
I have a
hooligans.
conspiracy
Stop
theory.
it.
The tinfoil hat is on. I
Is it
have a
about Taylor
conspiracy
Swift
theory,
taking
and I
over the
want you all
PGA
to hear
Tour?
it. I have a conspiracy theory. I want you all to hear it. Tiger Woods was the author of the JT pick. That's my new conspiracy theory. Tiger Woods was the author of the JT pick. He's the one that was on the logistics side and said, you got to take JT. He's working hard. He's going to be right by the Ryder Cup time. That's just my conspiracy theory.
I think you're high, dude. I don't think it needed Tiger Woods. You're wrong. You're wrong. I think you're wrong. No, him and Zach Johnson were already buddies. They even said as much. They were roommates together.
Listen, I understand that, but now hearing that Tiger was part of the behind the scenes logistics, like,
no, he wasn't. That's what he's saying. He's like, he's been a big help behind the scenes. He wasn't talking about logistics.
Pull up the article.
Big help behind the scenes.
We're gonna look at this together.
Okay. All right. You never know. I'll never quit helping if they want me to help. But I'd be better off in logistics now behind the scenes. Tiger's been a bit of help behind the scenes. Maybe that's what he and I want to keep doing is stay behind the scenes and help out Stuart Sink and whoever the next guy is.
I don't know. It sounds like he was part of the logistics.
No, you're not.
Tinfoil hat is on. Conspiracy
Zach,
is in full swing.
Logistics means travel and crap, Zach. That's what
Tiger Woods
logistics
is behind
means.
the travel.
That's what logistics means. It means getting point A to point B.
Listen, I'm just receiving signals, okay? Receiving signals.
I thought it was to block. That's the whole point of the tinfoil is to block. See, you don't even know your own conspiracy.
It does. No, listen,
you don't
Zane,
even know your own conspiracies.
This is a different type of tinfoil hat. It's got the antenna to receive, okay?
Well, you need to receive this. I think you're high if you think Tiger Woods was the author of the JT pick. No,
he was the author.
No, he was not.
Author.
He
was the author.
That's
crazy, my
conspiracy
theory. Until you prove it wrong, I'm correct.
This is I can't prove a negative. That's
awful.
Right. That's awful, dude. No, I think you're wrong.
Okay.
I think you're wrong. I think that Zach Johnson picked his buddy. He was saying so for the longest time. It had nothing to do with Tiger. He was calling him up all the time. Again, I don't think Tiger Woods would. I still think Tiger Woods would be better. I don't know if Tiger Woods would pick JT. I really don't. Because I don't think he would want, especially with his name as captain. Maybe he did kind of lobby for him behind the scenes. But with him as captain, as the figurehead, I don't know if he picks JT. I really don't. Because then everything that JT does is on Tiger Woods. And if you remember back to when we blew Europe out in the previous Ryder Cup, he was a big part of that win. They called him, remember? He called the guys because he couldn't be there.
Yeah.
And he motivated them. So, and they even said in the press conference, that was a big part of what motivated me. So it's like, I don't think you're right about Tiger. I don't like him necessarily as a person, but I don't know. I think he'd be better. I think he'd be better than a lot of different Ryder Cup picks. Ryder Cup captains.
He might be. We'll know. We'll know soon enough.
I mean, shoot, I'd rather him be on the Ryder Cup team than a lot of those fools that actually played. I mean, crap, I really would.
I'm crazy.
But anyway, I just looked at the bottom. I just looked at the bottom of that article and it said Zach Johnson said he will cherish the journey of guiding U.S. Ryder Cup team in Rome. I'm sorry. Oh my God. What a tool. What a tool.
He wouldn't change anything, Zane.
What a tool, dude. I hate the one.
That's like if Odysseus after the Odyssey said, I cherished the journey. where every single one of my crewmates died, and my wife was about to be married to another man while I was held captive several times and
Well,
tortured.
I would rather, dude, wouldn't you rather him be Tom Watson, not accept that crazy little trophy that the U.S. team got for him that looked like the Ryder Cup? Wouldn't you rather the captain do like that? Like, I don't want this. I want the real one. I'd rather have that, even if it's a jerk move. I'd rather have that than Zach Johnson saying, I wouldn't change anything.
Like, I wouldn't change anything.
Get out of here, dude. Get out of here. I would. I change everything you did. All the way up until the point of the tournament, all the way until the end. I'd change everything.
By the way, shout out to Oklahoma Sooners for knocking off the Texas Longhorns. Noted fans of the Texas Longhorns are Scotty Scheffler and Jordan Spieth. Horns down. All right, we can move on. Next topic.
But anyway, so I mean, what? So what's next on the talking list? Are we talking about OWGR? Or do you want to do your
real
shoes?
Quick before we go into another serious topic? Let's talk about shoes.
Yeah, let's do it.
So Travis Scott came out with a pair of Nike golf shoes.
Love it.
They're doing some branding together. And the store that is selling these shoes, to avoid resellers buying them and then reselling them at a much higher cost, they are asking buyers of this shoe to hit a 200-yard drive in order to purchase the shoe.
I love that.
So that it is bought by golfers and not resellers. I personally love that.
Yeah, I personally love it too.
I think it's excellent.
I mean, resellers. I just hate resellers in general. You know, like I get it. I get that there's like, I get that they're selling at a higher. They're selling at a higher price because people are willing to pay the higher price. But I think that that's not a great thing. I really don't, and especially for stuff like that people want to go and get them because they actually genuinely want the shoe. I'd rather those people that genuinely want to wear the shoe get the shoe, and not these guys that are going to sell it for thousands and thousands of dollars, you know?
Yeah, let me just real quick throw up a picture of these shoes.
You want me to pull it up on that same thing? I can pull it up on that same little thing. Travis Scott shoe.
Yeah, just go ahead and pull it up there. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Nike golf shoes, just to be completely honest. I don't think these shoes are exceptional by any means. But yeah, we're just going to look at them real quick here. I mean, they look fine. They're fine.
I hate them. I hate them so much.
They're fine. They're mid golf shoes. I'm sure I'm going to see about... They're mid.
They're lower than mid, bro.
They ain't no Pumas, that's for sure.
Pumas. To be fair, Puma does make a pretty amazing golf shoe.
They're
called Cactus Jacks. Cactus Jacks.
They're not. I mean, I've seen worse. I think Nike has worse golf shoes on there.
Oh, they definitely do. Are you kidding me?
But,
the Lunar Lawns? Yeah. I know a lot of people wear the Lunar Lawns.
I love the idea of, no, you can't buy this shoe unless you can hit the ball at least 200 yards at the driver.
I do like that.
So I love it. I love it.
I'm with you. I think I wish more things would be like this, where they're skill based or actual interest based, not just interest in the economical value of it.
Like you can't buy
like
the like you can't buy the LS version of a driver unless you can hit the ball 250 yards.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, no,
that'd be so
you don't need the LS version. Trust me.
Yeah. Yeah, most people don't. I mean, most people don't realize that if you're above a significant age and you've got a really low swing speed, dude, you need spin. Like you need spin to get that ball going.
Opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I gave a lesson to a guy this week who was like, "Oh, I'm really struggling with distance with my driver," and I was like, "Okay, let's see. This. Let me see you hit the ball." This guy swung, absolutely centered it. The problem was the problem was it came off like this.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, okay, what's your driver loft at? And he goes, oh, and I looked at it. It was at 11 degrees or something. And I was like, okay, so we got to do two things. One, we got to hit more up on the ball. And two, let me loft your driver up a little bit. And we
Yeah,
got that
just
at
loft
launch
the
angle
driver
from
up.
this to this.
Yeah.
And it
Yep.
was like, because like I can't, if you center the ball, like if you center it middle, and you made a good golf swing, that ball's not going any further. You could
Well,
change your
it's
driver 100 times. It's not going any further.
well, and swing speed adds spin, right? So more swing
Yeah.
speed equals more spin. So if you have a really slow swing speed, you're not going to have a lot of spin on that ball, and it might knuckle on you. It's not going to
Yeah.
get the
His problem
carry
wasn't
out of it you
knuckling. He
need.
just didn't hit it high enough.
Oh,
And you're
well,
just
then
not
he
going to
just
hit
needs
it
to
far
loft
if you
it
don't get it
up,
off the ground.
He just
Yeah.
needs to loft up the driver. A little whippier
Absolutely.
shaft, higher launch angle.
Yeah.
A lot of different things that can help with that.
So now that we've done with the Travis Scott topic, we're going to talk about the OWGR and a little bit
Whiplash.
of college golf ranking
Yeah.
stuff as well.
Yep.
So Zane, go ahead and break it down for us. Go big picture, and then we'll
Yeah,
discuss.
don't share the screen yet. I'll go over a little bit of what I've just wanted to give a little precursor to this. So if you're new to the show, we have not been. I mean, we've been very critical of the OWGR, the official World Golf Rankings, and they're very biased golf rankings. There's several golf ranking sites that are better than the official World Golf Ranking. You've got Data Golf World Rankings, which is fantastic. If you go to Data Golf, you just type that in on Google, you can find it.
Yeah.
You also have the TUGR, the Universal Golf Ranking System, which is in direct. I mean, they even openly state they're in direct competition with the OWGR. And they're
Mm-hmm.
fighting to be recognized as the World Golf Ranking System. But
Yeah.
the whole point that I'm trying to bring up is that they're very biased, and a lot of players, even on the PGA Tour, though they won't say it, they know it, and they've known it even before Live, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
PGA Tour gets a huge boost compared to the European Tour and
Yeah.
other tours, even though in some above what they should get, right? So they get
Mm-hmm.
an even greater boost than what they should get from the European rankings, right?
Yeah.
It's heavily weighted in their favor. And so now you can share the screen. So Louis Oosthuizen came out and he just sounds off on the OWGR system, saying a lot of the same things we've said before. He said, quote, it's not a world ranking system. You can say it's more of a PGA Tour ranking system than anything else. It's ridiculous that if you're top 50 in the world on the PGA Tour and you play in all of those elevated events, I don't see how you can get out of the top 50 in the world, even by playing poorly. If that's a good system, I'm glad I'm not part of it. He continued by saying, quote, the biggest reason you want world ranking points is to play majors. If each tour gets major spots for the order of merit every year, that's the easiest way to have the top players of every tour playing in major championships.
Yeah.
So Zach, here lies the question: what do you think of what Louis Oosthuizen had to say, and what would you see as the best outcome for the world of golf as far as rankings go?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Obviously, I think the PGA Tour is still the premier place to play.
Mm-hmm.
So, that being said, they still should probably have elevated points. Now,
Fair.
at the same time, if the majors are designed to have the best players in the world playing in them, a guy that finishes or averages like 50th place on tour, but he's consistently 50th place, is getting more world golf rankings points than someone that's consistently finishing around 18, 19 on the Euro Tour. Someone that's gets infinitely more points than someone that is winning every single live golf event. I think it starts to become are just plain inaccurate. It's just not an accurate ranking system at that point. So I think when Louis Oosthuizen says the biggest reason you want to world rankings is to play in majors, absolutely, you want the best players in majors, and to do that, you need a ranking system to be able to do that. I'm not sure if the whole each tour gets major spots, because then you have the question, okay, which tours do we include, which tours do we not include,
and how many spots do they get,
and how many spots do they get exactly. So I don't know if that is necessarily the correct solution. My solution would just be to be more accurate. I understand that the PGA Tour is a much harder place to win than the Euro Tour, or sorry, the DP World Tour. That's what I'm gonna start calling it, because that's what it's called. Or Live. I think it's easier to win at Live or the DP World Tour than it is on the PGA Tour. That being said, it's still not easy to win on any of those, right? You still got top players playing in all of those. So that being said, the gap is there between in talent and skill on between the tours, but it's not as big of a gap as the OWGR is making it out to be. So I think that you just need a more accurate ranking system. You don't get as big of a bump if you're on the PGA Tour, and you're not as penalized if you're on a tour like Live, which you just decided not to include on your list.
Yeah, and this is where I would disagree with you a little bit. I do think that OWGR needs to be thrown out. I think that we need to move toward a system that's more akin to, I mean, I get the strength of the field thing. I really do. But we need to move to more of a system that's data based, instead of a system that's weighted so heavily in favor of the PGA Tour. And the only reason I say that is because of the major spots, right? That's the only reason I say that, because I get it. I get that if you've played on the PGA Tour, you feel like you have a right to a lot of these majors. However, you have to understand the game of golf in particular is getting more and more global. So you're having to compete with even more and more people playing in these major championships. And my whole point is I want the best players possible playing in the major championships. And I know that hurts some people's chances, maybe Americans' chances of getting into these tournaments. However, I do see the need for a less biased, less weighted form of ranking in the form of TUGR or data golf. Very data driven. They're still heavily weighted toward bigger tours because those have better players. You know what I mean? But the strength of field is drastically overestimated with the OWGR. Absolutely. There's no question that they're crazy overrated with the strength of field, or the strength of, and the type of event, obviously. Whereas if we look, I hope you don't mind, I'll tell you to change it over real quick. But if I go to data golf rankings, I look up data golf rankings. This is what it looks like. I go to data golf rankings. This is the best player in the world, best players in the world according to their model. So you can see that, right? And it changes regularly.
Yeah.
So it's not like you have to wait on it, like OWGR. Like it changes regularly. So you see McIlroy's above here. He's number one. Number two is Victor Hovland. Then you have Scotty Scheffler, number three. Xander Schauffele, number four. Patrick Cantlay at number five. Right? So you have, and this is rankings as of today. Right?
Yeah.
So you have the rankings as of today, who are the best players in the world. And they have an index. So, I mean, this would create a bit of an issue with holding that number one spot.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot harder to hold that number one spot. But I do think that something like this is better. See how you can see Scotty Scheffler, OWGR, he's ranked number one.
How is Morikawa in the top 10?
That's the thing. So you see Morikawa, he's top 10, even though OWGR has him in the 20th. You see what I mean?
Surprising to see him in the top 10.
Which just again, it's taking their last 100 rounds.
Okay.
It's taking their last 100 rounds, and it also figures out a little bit of the weighting. So it's again, and they do take into consideration, and that's strokes gained, by the way. So that is field based. That's where they rank in the field. So that's why Morikawa's ranked so highly.
Okay.
You see that? So you see Tommy Fleetwood up there as well. He's ranked 13th in the world, 8th in the OWGR.
Okay.
Right. You go down, you see Russell Henley. Russell Henley's ranked 12th as opposed to 27th in the OWGR. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Ricky Fowler, same thing, 15th instead of 24th. So it's one of those things that doesn't probably look as far back. The trend lines, and it shows you Data Golf's kind of how their model works. So they are determined by averaging the field strength adjusted scores for each golfer across professional amateur tournaments, with more recent mounds receiving more weight, right? Whereas OWGR, I think they all receive a similar weighting.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So like even how you play in a year ago receives the same weighting as how you're playing now.
Gotcha.
Versus this one, it receives more weighting on how you're playing now versus how you're playing a year ago.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So you can see Cam Smith's up there, Ricky Fowler. You can see Tom Kim. So a lot of them's the same. See, so like Tom Kim, 16 and 16. But obviously with any ranking system going to be different. I mean, it's figured out differently. Ludwig Aberg or Aubert, he's 23rd instead of 59th.
Gotcha.
Bryson DeChambeau is ranked 25th instead of 132nd. So it helps a lot of people. But again, it's not crazy. It's not crazy weighted toward the PGA Tour. And then you also have, keep it on here real quick, you also have TUGR.com, which is the universal golf ranking system. Oh, no. TUGR. Let me see if it's not the right doc, maybe. I hope they didn't lose their thing.
That'd be sad.
That'd be very .org. I'm sorry, I have to write in the wrong suffix. So let's go to their ranking. So their methodology, we'll take a look at them. They say they're the most accurate, understandable, all-inclusive, unbiased golf rankings. So they're understandable because they gather head-to-head scores, player by player, over the last 18 months. They let powerful computer calculating ranks with incredible precision. The output is relative strokes per round to the best player in the world, right? And so this also includes all of the live people as well as all the Asian tour and so on and so forth.
Gotcha.
So if we go to rankings, it's still, again, look, you're still going to have a ton of PGA Tour players on there. But we scroll down, obviously you're going to have Cam Smith, right? We keep going down, we're going to see Bryson DeChambeau. Keep scrolling down, Taylor Gooch is right there. Right? Patrick Reed, Brooks Koepka, and Dustin Johnson, right? And so whereas they wouldn't even be included, right, on the OWGR, a lot of those players.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
I gotcha.
Anyway, so that's the way they do it. And I believe the TUGR isn't heavily weighted toward majors like the OWGR.
I don't think it is either.
So, and I like to see,
probably would be higher.
Again, I like to see majors have more weight. But
yeah, because it matters.
I'd trade
in majors.
But I would trade that for unbiased golf rankings. I would trade that in a heartbeat for unbiased golf rankings. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
Like I'm saying, I just want the most accurate ranking possible.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's probably a mix between all three of them. I really do. OWGR and the fact that they obviously have it where you're going to hold. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, though. You know what I mean?
It matters less who's holding the number one spot than it does that the right people are playing in majors.
That's very true. And that is probably a point toward Data Golf or TUGR instead of OWGR.
Yeah.
So
it matters so much less that the number one is being held by the same person than we're getting the best golf when the majors come around.
facts.
Alrighty.
But I do think, I think you're right. But I do to a certain extent believe that I do want there to be an extra weight added on high pressure events with higher purses. Maybe you can do it based off purses. Maybe there's a way to index it based off purses. That'd be kind of cool. You know what I mean? The higher purses get the weighting, which makes sense, right? Because obviously the higher purses, those players are playing a lot harder, for those higher purses. Obviously the majors would be up there. What do you think? Do you think that'd be a good idea?
To match it to the purse?
Well, no, not to match it to the purse, just to have purse weighting be the thing.
Well, then that's matching it to the purse.
Well, I just mean like having that as a divisor. Yeah.
Instead of having the gold standard, we have the purse standard with rankings in golf. Instead of currency. Anyway,
what the hell?
Okay. So I understand what you're saying. So like events, like big events, like for instance, the Players is a bigger deal than the John Deere Classic.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, you're exactly right.
I agree with that. I think.
Yep. And then those high purses, that's where all the players are playing it. You know what I mean? So I think it's a perfect 1-for-1. I think obviously that leaves majors a little lower on the totem pole than some tournaments, but not most of them. The majors are the higher paying. So
I want the Waste Management Open to be the number one weighted event on tour.
No, you don't. No, you don't. So, all right. So we're talking about that. We talked about the shoes. We talked about the OWGR. Talked about the Ryder Cup. Now we've got to talk about our favorite media member, I think, Zach. What do you think? You want to talk about our favorite media member?
Brandel Chambly?
Oh, not that guy. No,
he's our favorite. Guy. Our second favorite, Alan Shipnuck.
Oh, yeah. So he had a few stories come out recently on the Fire Pit Collective. I'm going to go ahead and share those with you right now. So the first story, let's go to this little thing that I had real quick that I sent you. Where is it? These two right here. So number one is on Brooks Koepka. So Alan Shipnuck was writing about a live social gathering that took place at JP McManus Pro-Am, at the JP McManus Pro-Am in July 2022. Now, granted, that's a year and a half ago. He said, F all those country club kids who talk crap about me, end quote, he said, referring to the likes of Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, and others. You think I give an F what they think? You think I care what people say about me? I just had 3 surgeries, and I'm supposed to turn down $130 million. I grew up with nothing. After signing that contract, the first person I called was my mom. We both cried, end quote. I don't know what to think about this. I don't know if, again, you don't know if it's a lie.
He said, so it says, he said, referring to the likes of Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, and others. What if that's just his interpretation? He's throwing those people's names in there just because.
100%. That's just an interpretation. If he actually said those names, he would have included those names because he's a snake. Absolutely, he would include those names. So no,
he was including those names to create a story,
to create controversy. And again, I like I don't mind him releasing this, especially if Brooks Koepka said it on the record. Which again, Brooks Koepka definitely could say this on the record.
But it was at a live social gathering. I think he was talking. I don't know if he was talking to Shipnuck. I think he might have been.
You're right. He might have been overheard. That's very accurate. That's a great point, Zach. I didn't even think about that.
It might not have been on the record or off the record.
But definitely when he said referring to the likes of Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, and others, he's definitely not. I don't think that was explicit at all. I think the only reason he's saying that is because they were country club kids growing up.
Yeah.
That's the only reason he said that, was because Jordan Spieth and JT were both members at a country club growing up.
Uh-huh.
So I think that's the bigger thing, you know. Anyway. Yeah, so I don't know. I
Unlike
don't know what to
me,
draw from that. What would you say though, Zach? I mean, do you blame Brooks for taking the money?
Zane, I'm never going to blame anyone for taking more money. Ever.
Okay. Do you say that this is not a good look for Brooks? Or is this not a good look for Allen? Or is this not a good look for both of them?
Not a good look for Allen.
Yeah, probably.
I
think you're right.
literally no problem with anything that Brooks Koepka said.
I agree. I
There's nothing he said that
agree
was wrong.
totally.
You think
I
I
agree.
care what anybody says about me? They grew up with a silver spoon in their mouth. I just had 3 surgeries, and someone offered me $130 million to play less golf.
Yep.
Yeah, the first person I called was my mom. We both cried because now I have generational wealth that I can send down to my kids and their kids.
Oh yeah. Well,
My family's taken care of for 2 generations.
and I'm gonna be honest, this is kind of a thing that where it's like I kind of feel the same way about a certain life decision that's coming up in my life. It's like, you know, uh, like a lot of people are gonna take a look at it and go say something like Zane's a quitter, and it's like I'm not quitting. You know, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like you got to make the decisions that make sense for you. You know.
Yeah.
And if that's decisions make sense for him and his, you know, and he wants to provide for his family, because whenever you make that kind of money, Zach, you can provide for a lot more than just your immediate family. You
Yeah,
can
for
provide for
sure.
your extended family. You know what I mean? So that's always a cool feeling whenever you can provide for that many people. So anyway, and then the other thing that came out via TW Legion, which is a nuclear golf Twitter page. He said Alan Shipnuck writes that Tiger Woods was one of the ones responsible for blocking Phil Mickelson from attending the Champions Dinner at St. Andrews. Quote, he talked to a handful of other past champions to get their blessing, and then went to the RNA and told them basically no one wanted Phil there, and it would make the night weird and awkward, end quote, says one of the men at the dinner. Quote, whose side were they going to take, Tiger's or Phil's? That's an easy choice, end quote. What do you think, Zach? Do you think
If
he
this is
actually did that?
true, Tiger is a coward and an idiot. And it's a damn shame he's the face of golf. If that's true.
I don't think it's true.
That's what I'm
I
saying,
can't.
if.
Yeah, I here's the thing. I can't imagine Tiger giving one flying rip whether he's there or not. I really can't. I think this is just drumming up controversy. I think in both of those stories that we've covered, I think I'm highly suspicious of Allen on both of these stories. Highly suspicious. Because there's no I mean, that looks like hearsay, doesn't it?
It
He
looks
talked to
like
what other had.
hearsay. Who
It
was
looks so
the
much.
men at the dinner that said, I don't know if he says it in his story or whatever. I think this is actually from his book.
You think so? No, it's via Fire Pit Stories. I don't think it's from his book.
Oh, well, then I don't know. If this is real, Tiger's a coward, and it's a damn shame he's the face of golf.
I'm gonna say it's not real. I'm gonna
Okay.
go. I'm gonna. Again, I'm not a. I love Tiger Woods as a golfer. I don't necessarily love him as a person. I do think that this is fake. I think this
Okay.
is drummed up nonsense. That the same way a lot of the Alan Shipnuck stuff, like Jamie Weir stuff, is drummed up nonsense. The Cantlay
Okay.
thing was absolutely. I mean, here's the thing you can say about Jamie Weir that we can't say yet about Alan Shipnuck. We'll see if we can say about him in the future is Jamie Weir's a effing liar and a cheat and he needs to be kicked out of the world of golf. No, he should never be let into another press room. He should never be let into another. He should again, if you spread lies knowingly, you should be outed. You know what I mean? You should just there's no forgiveness for that. I really don't think there's any forgiveness for that.
Yeah.
Because you can never be trusted again. I can never trust you again. With Alan Shipnuck, a lot of what he says is double-tongued, like we saw with him referring to Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth when we have no evidence that's who he was referring to. That kind of
he
stuff.
He might have been referring
slimy.
to guys like Alan Shipnuck and
he could have
Brandel Chambly and all these.
Yeah. But that's the thing is, we can't know that.
He could have been.
And go ahead. What were you saying?
I'm done. I'm done.
Okay. Well, what I was saying is Alan, we don't know that what he's saying is completely false. Like we know that it's maybe two-tongued. It may be slimy, but we don't know if it's 100% false. Whereas with Jamie Weir, we all know now that was just 100% false. Whenever you get a player saying that was 100% inaccurate and all the players are backing him up, then you know it's false. You know what I mean? So, anyway.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. All righty. I think we have one more topic we're going to cover briefly about college golf. So Zane, why don't you break it down for us?
So golf. A lot of people don't know. A lot of golfers, college golfers know this, but for the longest time, GolfStat has been the place to go for golf ranking, for college golf ranking. They lost their contract with the NCAA, and NCAA decided to go in a different route. They decided to get Spikemark LLC to cover golf rankings from here on out. The first golf ranking is officially coming out October 15th. It's the first golf ranking of the 2023-2024 season. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that stacks up, what that looks like, what the ranking page looks like. The website looks significantly better than GolfStat. So I do, again, if you're a GolfStat person listening, I'm sorry that you probably I hope nobody lost their job over this, even though probably someone did. And I don't wish horrible on anybody. But Spikemark does look better. And you always want to see competition in the golf world, golf arena, especially in the ranking system. Whenever you can get a better ranking system, better look, a better product is always a good thing. Me and you are both tired of the corruption where you just have something, you've had it for so long.
You have something, and it's because it's been there for so long, you keep it. Yeah.
Yes.
Even if it's not the best thing out there.
That's exactly right. And so I like the fact that NCAA is getting away from that, even though I don't like the NCAA as an institution. But the fact that they're going with that, and it's run by a college golfer. It's run by a college golfer and golf coach, former golfer and golf coach. So that's exciting. Somebody who actually knows the game, actually knows what golfers want, is running the show, which is what you want to see. So anyway.
Yeah, 100% agree. This is exciting. It'll be out by our next episode, so we'll have to take a look at it then.
We will. Definitely.
Certainly a couple names I want to look up and just see where they're ranked.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Looking at the individual rankings, 100%.
Yeah. So we will check that out when we get there. Zane, is there anything you want to plug before we sign off?
Just if you'd like to see more about golf lessons or anything, you can always go to ZS Golf on Twitter at ZS Golf or at Zane Smith Golf or at ZS Golf on Facebook. So if you'd like to look me up there, you can. I post on Twitter a lot, probably more than I should, but that's because I got a lot of opinions. That's why I got a podcast with Zachary Smith. So, yeah, Z Daddy. And if you want to see even more opinions about even more things,
You can follow me on Twitter at BeerlyZach. There's a reason that the headline down right here says Zach Stradamus. And that's because I can predict the future. If you don't believe me, just check out the Beerly Football Podcast. It's about, we talk about football, and I went perfect for my picks, including college football this week. So make sure you check that out. And also give me a follow at BeerlyZach. If you want to know what happens before it does, you can find out there. All right, that's all we have for this episode of Beerly Out of Bounds. We want to thank everyone for watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and we will see you guys next week.
See ya.